Egusi soup is one of the most popular soups in Nigeria. There are a few different ways to make it depending on what tribe the person making it is from. However, one thing we can all agree on is there are a few different things that you can do to make your soup taste really delicious and distinct. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Buki. I'm a food blogger and I live in Lagos, Nigeria. In this video, I'm going to show you how I make a pot of mouth-watering, delicious tasting and gorgeous looking pot of egusi soup. But first, let me run you through the ingredients. For this recipe, I'm using an assortment of meats. I'm using Pomo, goat meat and Shaki. I'm using melon seeds. I'm using onions. I'm using loads and loads of onions and you'll see why. I'm going to make a pepper base with habaneros and paprika peppers. I'm going to blend them roughly, no tomatoes. I'm also using dried catfish. I'm using really good palm oil. I'm using some locust beans, some ginger and some garlic. This is to cook the meat. I'm also using fresh basil, salt and stock cubes. This is fresh Uziza leaves, but you can use any vegetable that you like. I'm using ground crayfish also. I'm going to start by boiling my meat. So to do that, I'm going to blend a mix of onions, habaneros, the garlic and ginger with some water. I'm going to use this mixture to season my meat. One of the tricks to cooking really good Nigerian soup is to make sure that the meat that you're using is properly seasoned. Like really seasoned properly. Have nice flavors there, have nice taste. Make sure the stock cube is enough if you're using. Make sure the salt is enough. Make sure that your meats taste really good, especially if you're also going to use the meat stock. In this pot, I'm cooking all of my meats together. My pomo is already soft, but I'm going to cook it just a little bit to get it softer. I'm going to pour in that mix of aromatics that I just blended. I'm going to add some stock cubes. Add in my fresh basil. If you have any fresh herbs like thyme, basil, oregano, whatever you have, use them to boil your meat. It gives it really good flavors, and you need this for when you're cooking your soup. Now, I know some people don't use garlic or ginger to cook their soups, but you're not even going to know that it's there. It's going to mix with all of the flavors from the meat, and it's going to lose the distinct ginger and garlic taste. So I'm just going to set this over medium heat now to cook. Notice that I didn't add any water. I'm going to let the meat release their own juices first. See how much I have there and then add some more water if I need to. I'm going to take out my pomo now because it was already soft. I just needed it to cook a little bit. I'll take it out and let the rest of the meat cook until they're soft. Now I'm going to blend my melon seeds. You can get egusi already blended from the market, but I like to blend my melon seeds myself. I mean, just because I can, not because I have any particular reason to, but just because I can. And I think it's cheaper when you buy this way. I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm going to blend my melon seeds in a mill in my blender. It only takes a couple of seconds, so I'm okay doing that. I'm going to pour it into this bowl where I'm going to mix it with some onions and water to make a paste. So blend all of your egusi and pour it into a bowl. Back to my blender, I'm going to blend some onions and water, and this is why I said you need a lot of onions. First to boil the meat, and then second to make the paste. I don't know if anyone else does this, But I do this, I blend some onions with water and then pour it into my blended melon seeds to make a paste. You can use just water if you don't want to use onions, but I'm going to use blended onions to make my own paste, and that's going to give it some more flavor. Onion is really good. You're not even going to know it's there. For people that don't like onions, you're not going to know it's there. I'm adding some ground crayfish to this, and I'm just going to mix everything to make a paste, and this is going to taste really good. Remember, I said there are a few things you can do to make your soup taste really good. This is another one. So back to the blender, I'm going to blend my paprika peppers, my habanero, and the rest of the onions. This is for my pepper base. Now this doesn't need to be smooth, or you can make it smooth if you like, but I don't like mine to be smooth. I like to see the flecks of red peppers in my soup, although it disappears most of the time, so you can't really tell it's there. So I'm just going to blend this for a couple of seconds and set it aside. Just checking on my meats again, it's really soft. The shaki is really soft, and I have really good stock in there. So in a pot, I'm going to add some palm oil. When the palm oil is hot, I'm going to add in chopped onions and locust beans. Do you see how much onions we've used in this recipe? Trust me, you can mince your onions if you don't like onions, but you need it for the flavor. You need it for the flavor that it's going to give this soup. So mince your onions if you don't like to see your onions, but trust me, you want the flavor that it provides. Next, I'm going to add in my blended pepper mix, my ground crayfish, and I'm going to stir all this together. This is the pepper base for this egusi soup. Now, depending on who's cooking your soup, there are, I think, maybe 5, 6, or even more ways to cook egusi soup. I have about 3 ways of cooking egusi soup, and this is one of them. This is my favorite method. I make my blended egusi into a paste. I make a pepper base, and I combine it and do it that way, and that's just one way. But anyway, this has been cooking for a couple of minutes. I'm going to put the melon seed paste that I made into this in form of little balls, if I can call it that, but just, use a spoon and just put little bits in the pot at a time. Make sure this is on low heat now, because you don't want it to burn. There isn't a lot of liquid in the pepper base, so you need to do this on medium heat so that it doesn't burn. Cover it for a couple of minutes and let it sort of cook. Now I'm going to add in my dry fish that I've deboned and my meat stock. And I'm going to gently stir this. I don't want to break up the lumps of egusi paste that I made. Your finished dish might have lumps of egusi in them, and I kind of like that, although from stirring sometimes all of the lumps disappear, but I still like to do it this way. So if you like having lumps in your egusi soup, make sure to do it this way. Let it cook for a couple of seconds so that the lumps will hold. Some people like to mix their egusi paste with eggs. I've never tried that before, and so I don't know how to do it, so I can't tell you. This is how I've done mine, and it's had lumps sometimes and sometimes it hasn't, depending on how long I cook the paste in the pepper base. Next, I'm going to add some stock cubes to this, and then I'm going to stir it all together. When you're cooking egusi soup, you have to make sure that your egusi is cooked down properly. It has a distinct taste, so you need to make sure it's properly cooked so that it can lose some of that taste. Otherwise, it's going to taste like it's not properly cooked. Next, I'm going to add my meats. You can use fried fish, you can use any type of meat that you like. Chicken also is a good one. Some people have used chicken or turkey. They all work well in this soup. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to loosen it up, and so that there's some liquid that my meat is going to absorb, so that they can also taste really juicy when I bite into them. I'm going to stir this and get it all mixed up properly. Cover the pot and let it cook a couple more minutes. Now I'm checking on it and it's properly cooked. I've sliced my Uziza leaves and I'm going to add it in next. You can use ugu leaves, you can use bitter leaf, you can use a mix of Uziza and ugu, you can use efirin, which is scent leaf. You can use so many different vegetables. You can mix them, you can use them solo. Whatever you want will work. I'm only putting a little bit of Uziza in this because it has quite a strong flavor and it's quite spicy, although I'm not sure the spice is going to make it peppery, but I'm only adding a little bit, and I think I'm going to add a little bit more just so that there's a bit more vegetable in this. If you're using ugu on the other hand, you may want to add a lot more than this, but I don't like too much vegetables in my egusi soup. So this is about enough for me. I'm going to mix all this together and give it a couple more minutes to cook so that my leaves wilt and they're soft and everything is just good to go. I'll cover the pot now and let it cook for a couple more minutes, and then I'll check back on it. My egusi soup is looking really good. Everything is properly cooked. It's lost that distinct taste that the melon seeds have when they taste raw. It tastes really good, and it all started with making sure I had my meat properly seasoned. I'm tasting it now and I really can't wait to dig into this. This recipe is going to give you a perfect pot of egusi soup every single time that you make it. Just follow these steps and you won't regret it. Just look at that. My egusi soup is just thick the way I want it. Sometimes people have it thinner, and that's fine. I don't really like thin egusi soup, so I've made it this way. If you want a thinner version, you can add a bit more water and that will work. I can't wait for you guys to try this recipe and let me know what you think. Leave me your questions, your comments and suggestions in the comment section. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to do that now before you click off. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and stay safe. Bye bye.